Aloha snack bar, everyone. Good morning. It is V and CJ mornings with V and CJ. Happy Tuesday, January the 10th, everyone. Hopefully, everyone had a great evening. We're excited to pump off today's show. Hey, V, did you want to go ahead and plug in this morning's show? V, V,
Oh
you there?
man, yeah, dude, CJ,
Yeah, what's up, bro?
my Keurig is acting up, dude. It's not brewing my dark roast properly. I think the Russians hacked it.
The Russians hacked your coffee? No way.
Dude, the Russians hacked my coffee machine. I have evidence of this. I woke up this morning. I seen that all of a sudden my Keurig is flashing red lights instead of blue. That's clearly a sign that the Russians have hacked it. Um,
Oh.
dude, I know there's no doubt about it. The coffee's it came out very thick, like it was in Siberia. So that's another sign the Russians hacked it.
It was a Russian coffee. Oh my
I
gosh.
just knew it. I just knew it's definitely a Russian hack on my Keurig machine, bro. There's no doubt about it, CJ. No doubt about it. Oh my god.
And they
Oh my god.
and they brewed your coffee with vodka.
It is a little strong this morning, and I'm all of a sudden suddenly feeling warmed up.
Roger that. Roger that.
Anyway, guys, it's another mornings with V and CJ, and I am the illustrious ape coming to you live on Tuesday. I don't even know what date it is. The 10th of January, the new
All right,
year.
the 10th.
Yep.
We'll
And
call it the 10th.
we'll go the 10th. If you want to follow us, you can follow us on Twitter at the Rogue Money. You can also check us out on roguemoney.net. Also, Rogue Money Facebook page, and if you have the podcasting app, which is our biggest popular thing, just go to your Apple or Apple device or your Android device, and then go find a podcasting app like Pocket Cast or the one that comes in your Apple iPhone. Type in Rogue Money, and voila, we are there. Also, if you are on the Apple News app, just click on the News tab, and voila, Rogue Money is there. With that being said, guys, tis the season to be jolly, and it's the all new year. For you are a jolly good fellow. You did your thing. You bought Christmas gifts for everyone. You got everything together for everyone, and now you are in a financial hole. You got creditors calling you. You got credit card bills. You have collectors trying to bother you, then you need to go to myfreedomnow.us. Myfreedomnow.us, where the boys over there, led by the illustrious Ape, can give you a brand new credit score, hit the reset button on your life, and get you to where you need to be. Go to myfreedomnow.us and book a call live with me, the illustrious Ape. With that being said, CJ, how was your day, sir?
My day was awesome, V. I was just so moved by, Marilyn Streep getting up and Meryl Streep getting up there and talking, for us small common folk. I was just so moved by that. It really touched me.
Same here, man. I was moved to tears, because if it were not for Meryl Streep, who really brought the highlight and brought to attention the consciousness of the suffering actors who have been persecuted for so long in Hollywood, I wouldn't know what to do, CJ. I really wouldn't know what to do.
I mean, they just been so affected by, the Trump presidency. I mean,
I
they've
know.
they've been hiding in their $1 million basements, eating caviar and sushi,
Waiting for the Trump brown shirts to come through the door, you know.
waiting so that they can feel comfortable, to come out from hiding.
Yes, yes, indeed, CJ. Indeed, that's exactly what they've been doing. They've been eating caviar instead of cat food, and instead of waiting for the SWAT team, they're waiting for the I don't know, men in suits or something, or tuxedos, whatever. The point is, how out of touch. I mean, could you just pull that up where that idiot was talking, bro? I mean, how ridiculous is this? Like, what is she talking about? We're gonna knock out a few. We're gonna knock out a few things real quick and dispel some myths about what she said. Go ahead, man. Pull that bat.
Yeah,
Pull it up.
well, so V, the whole thing, she starts off by taking the first few minutes to talk about, those of us in this room. Okay, so right there, I almost had to turn it off right there because she started talking about us, us view us harmed, truly harmed in this room. Okay, so right there, so here you're dealing with uh, a room of elites, right? The 1% of this country. And though, so then she moves on to talk about the fact that, look at those in this room, how much we've contributed to society. We're look at the diversity that's represented in this room. If you don't respect and understand what the arts are, we are all foreign. We are all foreign. We just can't isolate and kick people, out of this country, because then there will be no performing arts. So if you'd rather just watch your mixed martial arts in your NFL and be content, because that's not art. That's not art.
Oh my God. There are some people with some either that are just so dumb and emotional that have no sort of discernment whatsoever as to what is going on in the world, if they'll actually believe everything that woman says and takes it to heart. Okay. It's ridiculous. Okay. First and foremost, nobody's kicking any foreigners out of this country. Okay. The big issue that we have is illegal immigration. That's the big issue, is illegal immigration. And that's what, Trump was talking about. The idiot Streep knows this, but they're, again, towing the establishment line. Oh, there's going to be foreigners leaving, putting in that whole paranoia. Oh my God, I'm not, I'm living here on a green card. I'm in trouble. No, you're not. You're fine. And the worst part, this is the line that gets me, CJ. If it weren't for us in Hollywood, what will you people be watching? And I thought to myself, whoa, when was the last time Hollywood had a hit movie? Been a while, haven't it?
Yeah.
I said to myself,
flowing there.
I said to myself, what I would be watching? Well, Netflix. I just binge watched the entire season of Stranger Things, which was friggin' amazing on Netflix.
Oh my God, I did too.
Dude, awesome.
Without even talking to each other, we did.
Oh my God, great minds think alike, dude. Simply incredible. Incredible series. If anybody hasn't seen it, I recommend you go ahead and check it out. Stranger Things on Netflix was amazing. It was like the nostalgic ride through the 80s. I mean, how unique, man. Something so different from what you would find with Hollywood. Okay? What else would I be watching, Meryl? Well, I'd be watching Amazon. I'd be watching, in fact, on Netflix, let's stay on Netflix real quick. I'd be watching House of Cards. Phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely.
It shows you the disgusting grittiness of Washington, D.C. Unlike that stupid NBC show of West Wing with Martin Sheen.
God.
Who's this? I am Martin Sheen. I'm a Democrat from Rhode Island, and I'm so noble. I mean, get the hell out of here. Nobody believes that crap. That's not what I'd be watching. I mean, there's so many great Walking Dead, so many great non-Hollywood stuff, man. I mean, like, what is Hollywood?
Right.
What we'll be watching? We're watching just fine. I mean, think about it. Who are the new up-and-coming actors? There isn't any, really. There's no real young blood coming up, like real talented young individuals. No, man, it's getting far and few in between. It's the same old cadre, and Hollywood's dying. Look, they're losing money year in year out. The Motion Picture Association, they've lost ridiculous amounts of money. The future's streaming. Okay, the future's the internet. The future is everything's decentralized. Like, I mean, why would I, if I was a movie producer or, or want to, put together a television show, instead of going to Hollywood, I'd go directly to Amazon. I'd go directly to Netflix. That's what I would do. I mean, look at I grew up watching Top Gear. I love Top Gear. One of my favorite things in the world, especially the crew of Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, and James May, when they got booted off of the BBC because of political correctness. What did they do? They wound up on Amazon. They created the Grand Tour, which is the greatest car show on planet Earth. It's hilarious. It's funny. It's entertaining. And it's uncensored. They can do and say whatever the hell they want. Like 2 weeks ago, Richard Hammond made a supposed comment about gay people. People were like up in arms. Oh my God. But who the hell cares? Grow the F up and move on with your life. There's more important things for your people to be concerned with. And this is something, that you just simply can't do in this sort of, quote unquote, liberal and so tolerant Hollywood, CJ.
Right. No, it is. And she should have been the stand-up comedy act for the night, V. I mean, so
Should
she
have.
went on to say, a couple other things, and I'm going to dispel one of those real quick. But
Oh
when the
yeah.
powerful use their position to bully others, and I'll talk about a little bit more about that here in a moment. But the biggest joke, what she said, was that the press need to hold the power to account, to call him every day for his outrage. Okay, so the whole thing with the press, I mean, that's a huge joke in itself, and social media is blazing with, hey, Trump did mock, this disabled, reporter. And I encourage everyone to do this. I do a lot of work in the disability community, so I would be one of no. But if you take a look, all you have to do is if you Google Donald Trump mocks Ted Cruz, you're going to see Donald Trump do the exact same hand gestures that he does when he's talking about this reporter. It's the exact same hand motion. He just does this thing where he flaps his hands up and down. And yeah,
It's a New
just
York thing. A lot of New Yorkers do it.
oh yeah, and people are like, oh look, he mocked that reporter. And so, and this disabled reporter is the same reporter that walked away from an article that he'd actually written, that there was proof that were saying that there were actually Muslims that were celebrating after 9/11. And this reporter did produce an article like that, and then jump forward to the primaries in the election. He said, I didn't quite write that. So he can completely back down just because they were putting pressure on him to do so. But again, I don't want to take away from my message that just Google it. Just Google, Donald Trump makes fun of Ted Cruz or mocks Ted Cruz, and then compare that video, the one that he did the reporter. You're going to see the exact same hand gestures. Exactly.
Right. You see the same hand gestures all throughout this entire campaign. It's just something he does.
Yeah.
He's done that forever. Number one. Number two, the guy is not really disabled. I mean, he has a little gimp hand. That's it. Other than that, the guy's completely 100% normal. The guy's he's got a reporter head. I mean, the way they say disabled reporter, like he's like, somebody's out there who's like retarded or something like that. Somebody's, he's sitting there, with drool coming out of the side of his mouth. He's trying to bite, his own face, and he's sitting in the press box, and everybody's asking questions, and he's got this guy, he's drooling, his head is cocked to the side, he's trying to bite his own cheek, but he can't, so he has a snapping sound with his teeth, like, he's just sitting there doing, trying to bite his own face. That's the image that they're trying to give you. Like they asked him a question, like, what are you gonna do about trade? That's not what is going on here. It's a normal guy who sounds like, considering the fact that we have trade irregularities and disparities with many nations, what are your policies to mitigate those trade imbalances? I mean, that's the question the guy was like asking him. Okay, and it's so stupid. Oh my God, I saw Trump attack a disabled reporter. Give me a freaking break. Get over yourselves. Okay, that's the biggest mess. First of all, the guy's really not. It's not even disabled. And you see him in the press box. He looks like a normal guy. He's got a little gimp hand. Okay, he's got a little T-Rex hand. That's it.
Yeah. So, and this fits perfectly. What happened is it fits perfectly into the narrative that the deep state, V, that they continuously, want to control and create the narrative of fake news and everything, right? I mean, that's what it falls back to. They want the sheepy to fall in line with the propaganda and what they say, and to buy into it and to believe it. Well, no one's buying it anymore.
Yeah, nobody is trying to buy it, man. They are doing their best to convince 80% of Americans that all news is just, propaganda, and that they're trying to convince everybody of Russian hacks, this, that, and the other. And the very things that they shouldn't be doing, in terms of, CJ, you hear that? Here goes my alarm. There it is. Huh. How funny is that? Yeah, so the thing that they shouldn't be doing, bro, which is this entire situation with Russia, with all these things, they shouldn't be out there. But what's happening is that the deep state, they don't know what to do. Again, the greatest article, and I've covered it like about maybe like 2 weeks ago, CJ, where a lot of people are thinking that the deep state, that the elites, are this unified monolith that we're fighting against. It's not the case. It's not a unified monolith. What it is it's a conglomeration of conflicting ideas and egos, and they're coming out. And these are people that are so far removed for many decades, for most of their political lives, so far removed from average, everyday American people that they are so far out there that they themselves, CJ, have failed to discern, they've failed to detect, failed to recognize the paradigm shift that has just occurred. They're still thinking this is the early 2000s, and they are, they have their clutches on the media. They're still thinking it's like the 90s, or better yet, the early 2000s was the zenith of their total control. And they're thinking that whatever narrative that they push out there, the public's going to believe them. It's not the case. And what they're finding out in the hardest way possible that it's not the case. It's unbelievable, CJ.
And it truly is. And I think that, thinking back to the whole election, everything, and I know that we, promote a lot around Trump and everything, but I think what we're promoting even more is the idea that there was a silent revolution that occurred in this country. And I know some of you listening may not agree with me. There was a revolution that occurred. The establishment threw everything that they had at this man. This man went up against 13 or 14 people. They planted fake stories. They attacked his family. They attacked his business, and not just from one party. And that's what people don't understand. This man single-handedly has pulled back the curtain to expose the fake paradigm of left and right, because there isn't one. They're one and the same.
Yeah.
The media has pulled back to expose the media, because there is no media in this country. It is a propaganda extension of the deep state.
1000%, man. And you know what? It's and this article, very well written by James Howard Nutzler. Maybe we'll get him on one day. This is from the American. I think it's called it's part of the language, but it's called Clusterfuck Nation blog. Okay, and the thing that Nutzler writes and puts together so well is this: what we're actually seeing in the current ceremonial between the incoming Trump and the outgoing Obama is the smoldering wreckage of the Democratic Party and flames spreading into the Republican Party. As idiots such as Lindsey Graham and John McCain beat their war drums against Russia, the suave Mr. Obama is exiting the scene on a low wave of hysteria, and Trump rolls in onto the cloud space above, tweeting his tweets from on high. And perhaps it's a good thing that the American people, for the most part, cannot tell exactly what the heck is going on, because from that dismal place, there's nowhere else to go but in the direction of clarity. It won't be helped by the official organ of the deep state, the New York Times. Just look at the way they've played the other big stories last week, and the one about the disabled man tortured by 4 young people in Chicago. Can anyone say what's wrong with this picture? I mean, think about it. They're talking about a disabled reporter, but Meryl Streep. Where are these people talking about the disabled guy? This is why the mainstream media is forever divorced. Okay, forever divorced from the American public. They comment a year and a half ago about some disabled reporter. Again, this is not some guy who's sitting in the press box with drool coming out the side of his mouth, attempting to bite his own face, and with bent arms and asking Trump a question while he's drooling out of the side of his mouth. That is not the disabled. This is a normal human being. He just has a gimp hand. I mean, come on, man. It's just one hand. There's one little gimp hand. He's a disabled reporter. He's fine. He's fine. But this kid, this white kid, gets kidnapped and tortured for 48 hours. The media and the Hollywood snobs don't see a peep, CJ.
No, why didn't you talk about that? You're right. No, you're exactly right.
Right. They don't see a peep. Why? Because it's not the narrative. It's not the narrative that the establishment wants to put. Racism, sexism, feminism, sexism, misogynism, jingoism, xenophobia. Any ism I'm missing right now, CJ? Is there any ism that they're not pushing? They're pushing whatever ism they can push out there. Oh yeah, it's racism, it's sexism, and you have idiots like this. The moron, that idiot who was on what was it, man? Let me pull this crap up. I saw this. And I'm like, dude, if I see this guy, I'd probably hit him in the face.
Well, yeah, because you're right. Because even in the reporting, like when you read the articles, they're even afraid to call it black people. Okay,
yeah,
they're afraid, and they're reporting to say. So when you looked at the majority of all the print media and the news media, it claimed that a white youth was beaten by 4 teenage kids.
Yep.
They're afraid because exactly right. It doesn't fit their narrative, so they would rather not discuss it.
No, of course not. And you know, when they talk about like these flash mobs that are occurring, in
Yeah, I think you dropped a little bit there.
Oh, I accidentally hit the mute button. But
there you go.
yeah. What happened was what I was saying is like, and when they report on the fact that you had these flash mobs occurring in certain malls in certain parts of the country, where you had these kids, you know, inner city urban kids, just running through, okay, wreaking havoc. And they wouldn't say we had a bunch of you know, black youth running through such and such a mall raising havoc. They just say youth. You know, because they don't want to. The whole thing is nobody wants to talk about the problem. The problem is, okay, the majority of inner city black communities are in the situation they're in because of 40 freaking years of Democratic Party policies. All of it has done everything to destroy them. It has done everything to take the father out of the home, disenfranchise the black man in that sense, make it in a way where the only ones left is the single mom and the state. And that is a horrible combination to be raising kids in when you don't have a, you know, first of all, financially, statistically, economically speaking, it's very difficult, you know, to be a single mom, especially in these inner cities. Then on top of that, you got to raise kids. Who are you depending on? Oh, the state. And you have this chaotic, imbalanced environment where you got baby mamas who, you know, you got one woman with multiple baby daddies. I mean, it's the most ridiculous situation. But yet nobody wants to sit there and have an adult. That's the problem, man. Is no, us conservatives, us like libertarians, we can sit down and have discourse. We can have an adult conversation with each other. But the libs, they can't do it. They can't sit there and talk the tough subjects. You know, they just can't do it, CJ. They freak out. They brush it under the rug. They, oh my God, let's not discuss the real issues. Let's talk about solutions of how more state funding can help those issues. No, state funding can't do nothing, and we've spent trillions of dollars trying to help the you know, all these social programs, this, that, and the other. It's made it worse, man.
I know in the heated discussions that I've had, V, and you're exactly right. What it ends up happening is once you start presenting them with hard facts, they do one of two things. They say that whatever facts you told them is fake news, okay?
Yep.
And then when they can't do anything else, they start launching personal attacks against you.
Yeah,
that's something that I put my foot down in. I don't mind arguing politics, but if you're going to make a personal attack at me or my family, you better watch out. You better duck,
right.
Because that's just how, that's in our DNA. That's just how we roll, and I know you're the same way.
Hell yeah.
So
brother.
yeah, so they can't argue the facts. They just can't. They have to create this narrative of, oh, you're using fake news, or you know, that's not true, or you know, everything else. So you're exactly right regarding being able to have an honest, you know, robust dialogue regarding politics.
Dude, I've been in the room with like freaking Ivy League educated people, and to hear these morons talk, where like, I cannot believe the fake news. Oh my God. I mean, there's these crazy stories. And oh my God, like could you believe how the Russians have affected our democracy? Like they've allowed Donald Trump to get elected. I mean, it's so obvious. And they're holding like the New York Times. They're quoting the freaking New York Times. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, you have a what degree from what school? I'm like, you're an idiot. You're not educated. You're conditioned. See, this is the problem. Most people get education mixed up with conditioning. The school systems in this country, the educational institutions in this country do not educate, they condition. They condition you to think a certain way. They program you to think a certain way. Okay? Just because, and also they get again, another difference between being educated and being intelligent. Just because you could, memorize a textbook and spit back the answers, don't make you intelligent. Smartest people I've ever met in my life don't even have, a college degree. They don't. And some of the dumbest people I've met have the highest degrees you can imagine. I'm like, you have a PhD? You're a really? You're a doctor? Wow. How long has this been going on? Yeah, it's ridiculous. And on and on. Look at the other arm of the deep state. No one's looking at the New York. I mean, nobody's paying attention to the New York Times. They got to rent out 8 floors of their headquarters. And now it's either CNN, CJ, is the least trusted news network among viewers.
Yeah, I mean, people are waking up, V. I mean, Rasmussen put out a poll of 1,000 likely voters. Okay, the only bad part is that that they're still plugged into their daily programming of the TV, right? The MSNBC, the Fox. So they're still have a pretty good segment of the news media. But what's amazing is that when you look at this same Rasmussen poll, it goes on to say that the majority of them still don't trust the mainstream media. And in fact, CNN is now the least trusted news network among viewers. That's huge. That's going to leave them crying, V.
Dude, it's unreal. I love it, man. I absolutely love it. I mean, think about this, right? While once considered a pioneer of 24-hour TV journalism, CNN, the criminal news network, or the counterfeit news network, or the Clinton news network, or the crony news network, or the you want insert name here news network, has faced criticism and accusations of bias over its political views. During the 2016 election cycle, some viewers and analysts claim CNN focused too much attention on the candidacy of Donald Trump, even to the point that it negatively impacted other candidates. That's the funny part. They focused in on Trump to derail him. They focused in on Trump to discredit him, and it backfired. Trump's former manager, Corey Lewandowski, worked at CNN for months as an on-air personality while maintaining notability close ties to the candidate. In April, Bernie Sanders supporters protested outside of CNN's offices in Hollywood, claiming that the networks ignored their candidate. In October, CNN cut ties with frequent contributor turned interim Democratic National Committee Chair Donna Brazile after WikiLeaks' archive of Hillary Clinton emails revealed Brazile gave Clinton advance notice on debate questions. Since the election, CNN has been quick to embrace President-elect Trump. On December 2nd, CNN reporter Christina Axeli praised Trump's advisory board of wealthy CEOs, calling it a historic gathering. This is what he says. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this. Like I've said before, this list really represents a bipartisan group of people who have some very diverse viewpoints. I have never seen so many wealthy CEOs. And all the while she's saying this, okay? Now, all the while he's saying this, you have the friggin' Obama administration that is filled to the brim with lackeys, filled to the brim with CEOs and whatnot who are, wealthy, well-connected individuals, far more than Trump. Okay, and this is the stuff that's going on. Nobody buys their stuff anymore. Nobody. It's CNN might as well start doing like call up Jerry Springer, call up Rosie O'Donnell, give them like talk shows. you know what CNN should do, and I'm sorry to be crass here, CIA. Remember during the election cycle, at some point there was some cross up in their Northeastern channel, on their Northeastern network. And
yeah.
They put out like 30 minutes of transsexual porn.
Yeah, I remember that. They had the highest ratings for that time period, didn't they?
Yes, that was their 9 o'clock time slot. It was families are gathering together. Yeah, families are gathering, or the libtards are gathering together at 9 p.m. to listen to Anderson Pooper, and all of a sudden there's tranny porn on TV. That's what I recommend CNN do. CNN, please, just give up on the news, man. Just let it go, man. Let it go. And start doing tranny porn, because you guys are all about the transitioning agenda. You guys are all about the social agenda and how tolerant you are with sex, with transsexuals, with any sort of left-wing thing. Why they should do 24 hours of Jerry Springer and tranny porn. That's it.
No.
And Wolf Blitzer
would be perfect for that.
And Wolf Blitzer should do all the announcements on the interim, and he should not even wear a shirt. He should wear like a leather choker with a ball in his mouth and give the news. CJ, there it is. That's the twisted news of the day. Okay.
Well, that's what they deserve for their 33% of people that actually trust what they say. So.
Oh, dude, you gotta love it. The deep state, man. We're like 20,000 leagues under the deep state. And what are they saying about the Russian hack when people are demanding, give us the proof? Presenting evidence of the Russian hacking would be irresponsible. But talking shit about the Russian hack is not irresponsible, CJ. But producing evidence, that's irresponsible.
Oh yeah, I mean we don't want to reveal our sources and our methods of doing so. Yeah, so an RT reporter, okay, so after the intelligence report was released on Friday, an RT reporter asked the question, said, why didn't the report have any proof of Russian intervention? And this idiot from the State Department, John Kirby, comes out and said, well, you shouldn't be surprised if the U.S. intelligence agency were keeping evidence secret, because we need to protect sources and methods. He went on to say this, most American people understand that they will have the responsibility to protect their sources and methods, Kirby said, adding it would be irresponsible to do otherwise. So again, just craziness that, well, we don't want to show proof that there was, because we want to be able to protect our sources, right? I mean, just crazy.
This is all done by that bitch piece of crap Hillary Clinton. And I said it. This whole thing is a continued farce by the friggin' Clintons. It's an attempt to keep the Democrats, all of them, from taking blame for the absolute abject failure. The DNC was a failure. The whore media, which is in bed with Clinton, was a failure. Maybe she should get a job on the upcoming CNN tranny network that's about to launch, the tranny porn network. But that whole deep state is a failure. So this whole thing of Russia hack. I mean, think about it. The circle jerker, Senator Ben Cardin's out there. There's no question that the Russians attacked us. Actually, Ben, there's a lot of friggin' questions we have as to why you think that. And when the American public and when people with frickin' 2 brain cells to rub together say, where's the proof? Oh, we can't show you the proof. That'll be irresponsible. Irresponsible like what? Like Nigerian yellow cake irresponsible? Like, for sure, weapons of destruction in Iraq irresponsible? Would it be that irresponsible? I mean, what do you guys do right? You suck at everything you do. We don't have an intelligence agency. We have a 5th column, politically motivated group of circle jerkers who need to get punched in the jaw. They're not doing what's best for the United States. And I can't wait till the entire cocaine import agency is gutted, smashed to 1,000 pieces, cast to the wind, reordered and remade into actually what it's supposed to be, a friggin' intelligence agency and not a political claptrap. God, it pisses me off, CJ.
Oh, you're exactly right, V. And it's really, unfortunately, it's led to the demise, geopolitically to our economy as well, because now we're playing this very dangerous game that the world is pivoting and the United States is being isolated. We are being left alone. So they're playing this dangerous game now where they're going to come out, they're going to say China's dangerous in the South China Sea. Russia's dangerous because they're hacking. Who is it that is leading and developing the future of world economies? It's not us.
No.
It's not us. We're spreading wars. Yep. We're giving weapons out like crazy.
Yep.
But who's leading that, V?
China. China's leading this. They are winning the world without firing one shot. And what's going on? I mean, look what's happening in the Caribbean, CJ. What's going on in the Caribbean and China? I mean, we know, you and I both know, China's been all over Central and South America. So what's going on like 90 miles off the coast of Florida, CJ? What's going on over there, bro?
Well, we tried. Obama went down there and said, yeah, we're going to, lift them. Americans go down there and tour and everything. And we hoped that was it. And then we went down there and said that, here's a country, right? And they probably have, everyone drives around in cars from the 70s still, just because they've been, so oppressed for so long. Really no industry. And we go down there and say, let's focus on your climate. Is what Obama does. So here we have China that has been effectively negotiating trade, right? So
right.
in 2015, China's trade with Cuba grew by 57% in the first 3 quarters, okay? And it's projected to become $1.6 billion. And so that bilateral trade agreement that China has been working with Cuba the last several years is going to pay dividends. It's going to be huge on China's influence on Cuba.
Yep, absolutely huge. I mean, we all know that Chinese vehicles have been sold in Cuba for a long time. And while we're out there, we're talking about this is the thing. This is what the deep state does. This is what the Western deep state does. They have no solutions. Their solutions is to go to a country like Cuba, which coincidentally has a little China. They have a little a little Chinatown in Cuba, which is wild, right? So they go to a place like Cuba, and instead of saying, "Hey, let's come out with mutually beneficial trade agreements, multipolar agreements, and understanding on trade, on development. Let's come out with some win-win scenarios for both of our countries." No, what we do is we want to talk about your climate, your carbon emissions from all the cows farting, and their chicken farts are truly very high in here in Cuba. We want you to dial back, and we want to put these regulations in place so you don't even put one coal-fired power plant anywhere near you. And we want you to hand over all your resources to us. Let us manage it for you, and help and sell your infrastructure to us so we can develop it. And the Cubans were like, "Wait a minute, that's a one-sided deal." Yeah, but we know what's best for you. But you've never been in Cuba. You never lived here. You don't know the language. You don't know the people. You don't know the customs. You don't know how we do things here. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's okay. Just trust us. And this is the same BS, CJ, that they've tried not only in Cuba, but all throughout the world. It's that economic hitman model like John Perkins would always talk about. It's you do what we say, you do what we tell you to do, and if you don't do it, if you don't sign over your infrastructure, then we're gonna carpet bomb you. It's either a carpet full of gold or a carpet full of bombs, as Richard Armitage once told the Taliban before we bombed them because they wouldn't go along with the pipeline deal. And then luckily, our boy Bin Laden showed up and knocked down some towers. Like, I don't know how that happened, CJ, on that fateful day.
No, I don't know.
110 stories fell at free fall speed in the path of most resistance into its own footprint. But Armitage, months before that, says, carpet full of gold or a carpet full of bombs. Same thing that's happening here. But the Chinese are actually developing it. I mean, think about it. China's trade with Cuba grew by almost 60% the first 3 quarters of 2015. 57% to be exact. 1.6 billion on a tiny island like that. Okay, and people are projecting that to grow to 7. They're expecting that to grow to $2 billion, $3 billion, man. Huge. Yeah. Why are not we getting involved in that? And here's the deal. I've wrote about this months and months ago, maybe over a year ago, where I said China and Russia are going to let Venezuela fail. They want to intervene. They want to help Venezuela's infrastructure. But I said they're going to wait on the sidelines, and they're going to capture the jewel in the crown. The jewel in the crown is PVSA. The jewel in the crown is the Venezuelan oil company. That's the jewel in the crown. That's what they're going to capture. Okay, and that's exactly what they're going to do. So once Venezuela, until Nicolas, the sweetness bus driver Maduro's government implodes, CJ, and once that implodes, okay, then they'll go in and they'll snatch it. But until then, they're hanging back. They're chilling. Because once they get Venezuela, oh my God, that's another huge deal. And what are we doing? We're not offering any solutions. What we're doing is we're creating NGOs, non-governmental organizations run by the impeccable cocaine import agency that knows so well of everything. They're creating another NGO to hastening the overthrow of Maduro. But all it's doing is it's giving Maduro a chance to get up there saying, I'm being attacked by foreign powers. And he's right. These NGOs are there operating in this country. So it's energizing his power base. Rather than, look, Venezuela has enough problems. You leave it by itself, it'll collapse onto itself. Just leave it. These guys are keeping Maduro in power by trying to fight against him, CJ.
No, yeah, huge. And even if you factor in the embargoes and everything else for the longest time with U.S. and Cuba, we're presented here with a very small window to go in and think of the imports, right? Think of the imports that could have went into Cuba to help them, and we did nothing of that. You're exactly right. We'd rather focus on, let's focus on your regime change and your government change. And now, we've seen a complete, pivot now where China now is going to be their largest importer to Cuba. So it definitely a huge change for Cuba.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look at the priority investment targets, what is it? What's China's priority investment targets in Cuba? Well, guess what? It's energy, it's automotive because they're selling Chinese. I mean, think about it. You got Chinese car company Geely, okay, and Brilliance and all these other Chinese car companies, which are absolute crappy cars. Okay, crap cars, and they're going to be sold in Cuba. When the Cubans already have a flair and a thing for American cars. I mean, you go to Cuba, it's like taking a trip back to the 50s in terms of the automotive landscape over there. And so the question is, like, why are we not in there? Why is not Detroit? Why is not Ford? These are opportunities. This is money we're leaving on the table. And that's all we do. We think we can follow this retarded policy, this British model of let's go bomb the heck out of everyone, divide and conquer, perpetual war, perpetual debt. Like, that's going to work. Like, the military industrial complex is the most profitable sector of our economy and of our industry, which it's historically never been. And again, this is what we're doing. We're leaving money on the table because we don't have talented individuals that are out there cutting deals. We have a bunch of circle jerkers and war hawks and neocons that have been running roughshod over this country for the last 30, 40 years, CJ, and that's going to come to an end soon. Let's talk about some MAGA.
Yeah, I mean, it's right, exactly, right around the corner. And so again, you look at what's happening there, and then you take a look in Manila. You can completely see. The whole thing is, the United States has been, sending these drone subs into the South China Sea, monitoring, and China's been taking these things up. But if you look what's happening in Manila, and you look at they're doing a huge pivot right now to China and to Russia. So basically what's happening there is you're seeing Duterte, am I saying that right? President Rodrigo Duterte. Yeah. He is basically working on solidifying a deal with Russia that's going to be completely separate from the U.S. agreement. The U.S. agreement basically is around protecting in case they're ever attacked, which he doesn't want anyway. So now he is working on deals to close in where they're going to start doing some joint exercises there in the Philippines to help not only their military, but Russia's going to be involved with it, China. So just another huge pivot that we're seeing away from the West dominated and completely shifting over. And you know what that's going to lead to? It's going to lead to trade and a lot of other things happening there for the Philippine people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what do we do? Well, we go to the Philippines and then we help fund the Islamic rebels down in Mindanao to create havoc and then try to exploit whatever things we can exploit. That's what we're like, the importers. We are the empire of chaos, and that's going to come to an end. Like what Pepe Escobar always says, the empire of chaos, man, unfreaking real. Unfreaking real. And you know what? It's the Filipinos will be able to get their hands on some good quality military hardware. I'll continue with the deep state, man. Let's talk about these butthurt economists, man. What the hell happened in that meeting in Chicago?
So all these economists are trying to figure out what in the world did they go wrong, and they just can't understand the whole fact that manipulating the markets and everything else going in. So in Chicago, ironically enough, I think that's where Obozo will be tonight, giving his farewell. Is that tonight or tomorrow night?
Oh, I can't wait. Na 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 na. Na, na,
yeah, we should have an online party that night. We should have an online celebration party that night. Have the team for Rogue Money come in and recap the fake legacy of that. So anyway, getting back to the story. So in Chicago, the nation's leading economists who are suffering an identity crisis in many of the institutions that help build and cause the advanced have come to a public scorn and rejection at the ballot box. So they are coming to terms with the fact that the whole profession is, in terms of the state of affairs, that they're more to blame than any other group of people for what's happening with our economy right now. So they're kind of butthurt right now, V, because they take a public scorn, right? They're like, why isn't it that they don't trust us? Why don't they don't understand? So these group of economists came together to try to figure out what they can do better at the University of Chicago, of all places.
Exactly. Here's what they say. They say the president-elect is not particularly interested in hearing from this academic economist club. Yeah. He has no interest in listening to you guys because you guys are a bunch of theoreticians. You guys sit there and do theories all day. None of you have created anything. You don't know how to create a job. Most of you can't even run a lemonade stand. But yet you are the economists. You're the economists of and you're the brains of a new era of thinking and the framework of what is going on in this nation in terms of its economy. Thank God. The other thing they said that in many ways economic science was more honest, referring to the fact that some would win but others would lose from free trade. It is only said that under certain conditions, winners could compensate losers. Not that they would. Well, idiot. Again, winners don't compensate losers. CJ, have you, in any sort of free market, in any sort of anything, any contest between individuals or corporations or whatnot, do winners ever compensate losers?
Never.
Yeah. I mean, this is what kind of rainbows and unicorn fart world are these did they take hits of acid before they walked into this? Did they do some PCP before they walked into this meeting?
No, because
Good.
No, I'm saying that they completely base their economic policies based upon what they read in a textbook manual, based upon theories of macroeconomics, but they've never had the rubber hits the road, V.
No.
They've never had that real time experience of getting out there and starting a business, running a business. Yeah, they can tell you every textbook and read to you about theories of business and how it should work.
Right.
So these economists are heard, V, that in October there was a survey of U.S. adults, and they asked, do you trust the data about the economy that is being reported by the federal government, okay? A quarter of these respondents said that they did not trust that data at all,
Right.
while another 19% said they only somewhat trusted it. So again, it just kind of falls back to the whole false information that we're completely fed by the fake media. So this is I'm glad this happened. They need to understand that they're not trusted.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's nobody buys their stuff anymore. Nobody cares about what they got to say, and it shows you how out of touch from reality that they are. They're completely out of touch, and these are the guys who also contribute to the think tank, if you can even call it a think tank, um, to the deep state. Which brings us to what happens when these economists are left to their own devices. I mean, let's talk about what happens when the economic policies of these economists and all the things that they write about, CJ. What happens when it's applied to a nation? Well, let's even look at a cosmic study. What happens when you have these nut job statist economists combined with lunatic liberal policies and politicians combined with a sycophant media? Well, let's take the three biggest cities in the United States, CJ: New York, LA, and Chicago. What's going on over there, bro?
Well, many of them, they've been really struggling in terms of their financial fiscal policies. These unfunded pensions, right? That they can't fund. This tax and spend policy regarding that, that hopefully you'll never run out of people's money. So basically, in a recent report, in terms of large cities, Chicago and New York are the worst financial shape among large U.S. cities.
Right.
So this report came out. Chicago and New York rank at the bottom of a new analysis of fiscal strength based primarily on data from 2015 financial reports issued by the cities themselves. The analysis includes 116 U.S. cities where populations were greater than 200,000. So again, you think of Chicago, right? It's been reported that their pension funds are underfunded by at least $2.5 million on year. And who has to compensate for those pension plans? That's the taxpayers. They can't accomplish that. So it goes on to state it in terms of the other, for example, the city's municipal employees annuity benefit reported $4.7 billion in assets and $14.7 billion of recurrently accrued liabilities at the end of 2015. Tell me how that's financially solvent.
Oh, it's all fine and dandy. There's nothing to see here, folks. People are about to lose. Look, it's prudent advice. Anybody with common sense, and you don't need a friggin' multiple degrees to understand this or all these certifications, this, that, and the other. It's common, prudent, traditional financial sense from anybody. You walk into any financial firm just a couple of years ago, having hard assets part of any sort of fund is a good thing. A lot of these see, this is what kills me, man. A lot of these funds, they're going into these managed funds, and there's been significant losses. Statistically, managed funds are doing so piss poor. They're trying to squeeze yield out of everything they can get. There's a lot of losses, and on top of that is whatever gains in you're getting. These funds are getting raked over the coals when it comes to fees. You talk to anybody who's running a fund, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm only getting 2% or 1% fee." No, you're not. And you do a complete analysis, your fees are 15%, man, on average. Like, look at Ohio. They had a $1.4 billion pension fund on one of their funds. It's like a net negative 200 million or something like that at this point. I don't even know. I forget how much it, but they've lost everything. And the 5 years that the fund was managed by a company that has links to Bernie Madoff. Okay, and in those 5 years, that fund in Ohio, that firm that was handling their fund made out with $750 million in fees. I mean, in fees alone, CJ, 5 years. It's unbelievable. This is what's happening, man. And these general fund, these state guys who run these funds, they get wined and dined probably have a couple of hookers thrown their way, and they do anything. Sure. But these are the retirement of hardworking people, and all they need to do is look at what the Texas Teachers Fund has done. They've taken a small percentage of their fund, they've moved it in gold, and they have one of the smartest investment guys who are really watching the entire fund, and that fund's grown considerably. You know, smart way to do it, but everybody else is just running fund. It's a dangerous thing, especially with market corrections. This kind of stuff has happened, man.
Oh, you're exactly right, and what happens in Illinois, they play a dangerous game because when they raise taxes, and over the last several years, what's happened is that a lot of corporate offices and things have been leaving Illinois. They've been fleeing to states like Texas and Arizona that have a lot less, tax rate, no personal income tax. One of the other things that's pretty alarming, B, that goes on to state in this report, you think of New York, right? When you think of the big price ticket, real estate market there, okay? They have been able to gain a lot of revenue in terms of driven off of their real estate and everything, but their actual the reserves that they maintain for 2015 was just 0.6% of their expenditures, which is below of what the Government Finance Officers Association recommends of 16.67%. So
Wow.
so they are just so far below the guidance. And what does this tell you? This tells you that look, kind of like what we've always said here, eventually you run out of other people's money to spend.
Dude, I mean, just to put that in perspective for people, imagine you had like $1,000 paycheck, and you get that $1,000 paycheck in for that week. And then by week's end, you take that $1,000, you spend it, and by the time it's all spent, the only thing you have left is 67 cents. That's scary.
Yeah, very scary. So again, the fall of it falls between where you deal with, you have this much in operating, liabilities, and then factor in the dangerous fact that the unemployment rate is so high, and in particular, youth unemployment. So as these people start to retire in these municipalities, their pension funds, okay, eventually the draw is going to start to happen, and exactly what you alluded to earlier, V, in terms of Texas. Whenever people realize that and they start taking their funds out, what happened? They put a lock on it. They said, well, we can no longer, process withdrawals. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get with our judges and our lawyers to say that we can go ahead and modify the contracts, and we can do this legally now. So just insane that these types of things are happening in our cities.
It's absolutely crazy, and it's, I mean, what else can we say, man? But on the good news, CJ, besides all the sycophant libtards running large cities into the ground, there is some MAGA coming our way. Let's start with Jack Ma, bro. That was huge news.
Yeah, pretty darn exciting, right?
Oh, dude, Jack Ma, man. What did the one of the richest men in the world, Chinese multi-billionaire and the founder of Alibaba.com, what do they say?
Well, he understands that the times are changing here in the U.S., right? I mean, there's no doubt that that Trump is out to try to reduce the corporate tax rates, the burdens. So he is eyeing the United States to help to rebuild, right? So he's coming forth and pledging, a several $billion to raise, and I believe it's like what, over 100,000 jobs or something that he wants to help to get that accomplished. I mean, so that's just huge, and it's that type of leadership, and it's something we've always keep talking about. It's the climate that's created by government, not the government's direct actions, that leads to infrastructure investment in the U.S.
Right, it's Gersham's law, man. It's capital goes, or money goes where it's treated well. That's it. Money goes to where it's treated well. So if you're going to make it a very hostile environment for money, it's going to go somewhere else. That's just the way it is. It's unavoidable, man. And for Ma to come out there and say, hey, you know what, we're gonna work to create 1 million new jobs in the United States. That's fantastic. And again, I want to remind you, just a few months ago, Mr. Barry out there saying, Barry Skidmark, I was going to bring those jobs back. Those jobs are gone. Those jobs ain't coming back. What's he talking about? Those jobs ain't coming back. They're gone. Those jobs are gone. How's he going to possibly bring those jobs back? Well, you MFer, he just did. Ah, love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, think of that, okay? In terms of the jobs that are needed in this country, and everyone that's listening in, we all know the real unemployment rate. And you look at the federal government. So if you layer in the fact that if we have an opportunity here to bring all that offshore money that's out there right now back to the United States, and at the same time bring industry back to help pay for these unfunded liabilities that are happening everywhere. Now, we can't continue to spend money, right? We can't. I know that the politicians are going to have these eyes on this, so we definitely need some people up on the hill. They're going to say, well, just because you're bringing in that much more money, tax rates last year, I think even for the last quarter of last year, I think government tax rates, they brought in more taxes in previous years, huge amounts. But the problem is we just keep spending it.
Yep.
But if we can bring these jobs in to help, offset some of that, get financially balanced to only spend and reduce. I mean, we're looking at. I mean, gosh, think about the amount of jobs, and he's not even president yet, and he's created more jobs as president-elect than Obama did in 8 years.
Yep. Barry's 94% job creation amongst low wage, part-time working service sector jobs versus Trump's real industry jobs. I've never seen a president-elect like this in my entire life. In my entire life. It's unbelievable, man. And which also brings me to the latest thing, brother, which is I guess we can close out with that funny piece about Team Obama and his worries.
I think that I think you're right. I think as we end up with Obama's legacy, fake legacy, and we talk about what Obama's and he's not going to get humble tonight. He'll get all fired up about being in Chicago and everything. He's fired up from his last meeting. So
he's extra cocky.
Yeah, he's going to be extra cocky. But he has said in the last 2 days he somewhat got humble and said, "Well, maybe I do have a little bit of responsibility of what's happened to the Democratic Party the last 8 years." You think, Obama? You think for a moment? So now what he's turned his attention to is that one of Obama's deepest fears is that Americans trust Russia more than the U.S. government.
Yep. The Russians are not on our side, people. We can't trust the Russians. We trust the Russians more than we trust you, O Dumbo. You disgusting piece of turd. I can't wait till you're gone. Na. Hey. Goodbye. It can't happen fast enough. I'm counting down the days, man. I want to get on with my life already, CJ. I want to get on with this MAGA. There's too much MAGA to be made, man. Too much MAGA out there.
Yeah, and we'll be here to help, keep everything in check. We will report, both sides, the good and the bad. We told you already that Rand Paul and a couple other senators already pulled the GOP in check and said, hey, listen, you guys are trying to pass a budget that's adding $9 trillion to the debt over the next 10 years. What in the world are you guys thinking? So, we got to hold these people accountable.
Yep, absolutely. 1,000%. You're absolutely right, man. With that being said, we're at the end of the broadcast. CJ, give out your shout-outs, man. And
yeah, hey, pumped up for 2017. It's already the 10th of January. The last 9 days have just flown by. I know I'm excited. Again, the work that we're doing here at Rogue Money. Please check out, the most recent interviews that we had. Some good stuff there. I can tell you that I've been working on getting some solid interviews booked for V as we continue our Saturday series of interviews that we conduct, and those are kind of to kind of frame in perspective, just kind of built around sharing some great things that are people doing out there, and then obviously to help everyone here as well. So I just want to kind of plug that so people kind of get an understanding of that Saturday interview series of what the vision is for V.
Absolutely, man. 1,000%. And folks, you can follow us again on Twitter at the Rogue Money. Check out the website roguemoney.net. And also the Facebook page Rogue Money, and the Apple News app for the and then the podcast. And you subscribe to the podcast. We have so many people that have signed on where they can listen to us commercial free. It's great, so check that out. And with that being said, once again, if you're suffering from debt, you need a high, or you just need a higher credit score in order for you to get refinanced or get a mortgage. Check out myfreedomnow.us, myfreedomnow.us. Book a call with the illustrious Ape. This is V, the Guerrilla Economist, coming to you again live. The illustrious Ape and his sidekick, the denizen of the airwaves, CJ. We are over, and we are out.